Well, I did not want to make this video today. I didn't want to make this video because I'm actually still pretty upset by it. But I do think it's important to talk about the hard times in this industry and in this career. But here goes. My contract slash job just got canceled 2 weeks ago. It was supposed to last the entire year of 2024. But then I got the unfortunate news that they no longer needed the work, and I only had about 1 week to kind of offload the things I was working on and get out of there, essentially. Needless to say, this has caused me an enormous amount of stress because I have a family, I have a house, I have everyone that I need to support, and having the expectation that I had work until the end of the year, have that no longer be the case, that puts a lot of stress in. Probably adds to a lot of the gray here. But yeah, this is hard, and it's something that I'm really having to deal with, and I wanted to share with you guys today. So first of all, I'm not exactly that stressed about it. I've been working in this industry for about 15 years, and I've seen about 13 rounds of layoffs throughout my career. I've worked with a lot of startups and volatile companies, so seeing those kind of layoffs aren't that surprising. And of those 13 layoffs, I've been affected 3 times. This is my 3rd time that I've been affected by the layoffs. But yeah, I wanted to make this video because I want to share about how I approach a situation like this, a stressful situation like this. And if you're interested in my kind of situation or what I'm doing next to find work, just consider subscribing because I want to take you along the journey of me trying to find some work after being laid off and what I'm going to focus on and how I'm going to find the next work. But on top of that, in this video, I also want to share with some very key ideas of what you should do or what I'm going to do of when a layoff does happen, when you do lose your job, what things can make it a little bit better and what are the best approaches. The first thing I want to say is that you definitely you need to take a breath. You need to take a breath and really kind of assess the situation because these things happen and it's hard, but you just need to take a breath and realize that everything will be okay. We're in a very privileged industry and there's a lot of strain in the industry, but the unemployment for engineers is still pretty low. And it's also very important to consider what you do when this happens. It's very important. And that leads me to my next point. The next point is when this happens, it's important to be professional. Be professional to the people that have given you the news, the people that have maybe made the decision that you no longer have a job, and be professional to the people that you work with that you may have to hand off your work to or this, that, and the other thing. Because in the past, I've thought about being rude or angry to someone on Slack about how I no longer have a job and you should feel guilty. But I'm glad I haven't because once the feelings pass, it's just not worth it. And it's more important to maintain these relationships and maintain these connections so that you can still be perceived as a professional in this industry as you move on with your career. And my third point is that the managers and the people that have made this decision, they don't like to do this. For the most part, people are kind and they do not want to lay people off. So I know it sounds ridiculous, but always be kind to the people that are giving you this news because you know what, they're not excited about the meeting where they have to sit you down and say that you no longer have a job. It's important to realize that we're all just kind of people doing this work and trying to find the best way to move forward. And if you preserve relationships and you maintain a professional and calm demeanor as you talk to these people, it's gonna help you in the future. I guarantee it. It's still a pretty small world, and you may have the opportunity to work with these people again in the future. And when you approach this kind of relationship with your manager or people that you work with in this way, they will do their best most of the time to try to help you find a new job. There's connections with other people that may have been laid off. Maybe they have a connection for another company that is hiring at the time. So it's important to still try to take the news as serious as possible, but try to be professional and maintain the relationship because on both sides of the scenario, no one likes to be laid off and no one likes to lay people off. So it's good to try to keep that in consideration moving forward. And my fourth point, I want to say that you want to reflect on your experience at this job and try to be as objective as possible so that you can understand what you could do in the future. For me, being laid off a couple weeks ago, I talked to people. I tried to get as much information as possible to understand why this happened. And there happens to be situations where it's outside of your control. A lot of things move in corporate environments about budget allocation, about headcount, and even in larger companies, sometimes people overhire, and sometimes one of the jobs have to go away so that the budget balances out. And that's just the harsh reality of working in like corporate America. So like things can happen like that are completely outside your control. Now, if you do get information that you weren't doing the job well enough, then that's great feedback so that you can learn to do better in the future. But if it's outside of your control, it's also good to recognize the business factor of when you go into new jobs and new roles so that you're kind of self-aware of like whether or not your team has the risk of losing funding, or you could lose your job in a different way. But sometimes it is within your control and sometimes it isn't. And it's important to reflect as objectively as possible as you look past on that job, you know? So that's the main advice that I have for someone that's just getting laid off. And that's kind of advice that I'm taking myself to heart as I move on to the next stage. And the next stage, I'm going to start my job hunt, and I kind of wanted to share it online with you because I'm going to take a really risky and kind of unorthodox approach of finding jobs. And if you are interested in what happens next with me, just go ahead and subscribe, and I will share through the good and the bad of trying to find my next job and the approach that I'm going to take, because it's going to be a little bit weird, and I want to explain my way as I'm trying to find this next work. So thank you guys for hearing me out. This is an uncomfortable video to make, but wish me luck as I go into this next stage, and I hope to see you in the next video. All right, bye.